You can be making the money, you can be getting the orders, and you can still feel like something is off. And that is exactly where I was until I decided to shut my candle business down for good. Hey Bookie, I'm Quiana LaChé, NLP and hypnotherapy practitioner, transformational strategist, YouTube growth strategist, all the things because I'm trained in all the modalities. I help women align their businesses with who they truly are, not who they are forcing themselves to be. And so today I really want to share the honest truth about why I shut my product based business down because I know somebody out there really needs to actually hear what it is that I'm about to share. Now, if you are in a season of burnout, second guessing yourself, wondering, why the business isn't really working out the way that you want it to. This is the kind of inner work we do inside Brain Magic Mastery. So I want you to comment app below if you want access to a free tool that's going to help you, reconnect with yourself and help realign your decisions so that you are making empowered decisions for yourself and your business. And if you want to go much deeper than that, then comment membership below and I'll send you the details about the Brain Magic Mastery membership. Okay, boo. So let's start from the beginning, right? The way that my business started, it was a journey from grief to money, essentially. And if you want to know more about that story and how I was making my $30+ candles and they were selling like hotcakes, honey, then go ahead and watch the video over here. Now, I started seeing success very, very quickly. I mean, without a website, without, a prep and a launch plan and all this other stuff, like people were just kind of coming and buying, and complete strangers were buying my candles in bulk. And you have to understand how amazing that really was because typically when you're selling candles, like people want to smell them. They want to know what these candles smell like. So for me to have been able to come up and essentially just be selling these candles and selling them out without people having ever smelt them, it was pretty amazing. It was. But there were two things that really began to wear me down and that I acknowledged. I just had an awareness of these two things, and things really just kind of started to dwindle for me internally. It wasn't necessarily affecting the business, but it was affecting me. So the first major thing that happened for me was my health. I really began to suffer from having ovarian cysts that were rupturing. And when it got it got bad. Like it got so bad. It is the kind of experience, the kind of pain that I really wouldn't even wish on my worst enemy. And it was happening back to back to back to back. So essentially I was having painful periods, and then at the tail end of my period, like a cyst would rupture. So I was like bedbound for weeks at a time. And then I might have like 1 week, maybe a week and a half of like grace, maybe. And then it would happen all over again. And this continued on for months. Okay, months. And my health took a serious hit because it wasn't just about the pain that I was experiencing, it was the vomiting, right? It was not being able to eat. I was vomiting just from like drinking water. It was such a horrible experience. And at the same time, it's like I had these orders coming in and I can barely stand. I mean, it was already difficult for me to stand and take, a shower. I would get dizzy and then nauseous, and I would have to like run out the shower and I would vomit. Like it was so bad. I wouldn't wish this on anybody at all. But I started to get really worried and concerned because I'm like, okay, these orders are coming in and I need to like make these candles because I was making them by hand. I didn't have like a distribution center or anything. I made each and every candle by hand. And so my thing is okay, if I'm having this experience and I'm dealing with, this issue with my body and my health, how am I going to honor the standard that I have set for, the shipping? For me, I really, really, really wanted to make sure that my candles were getting out within like 72 hours. That was enough time for me to be able to make the candles and then ship the candles out, right? But it just it wasn't working out like that during that period. So, for a good 5, 6, 7 months, like this is what I was dealing with. Now, the second thing that I started to deal with that was really difficult for me was the profit margins. Okay, that was not something that I ever sat down to like think about or consider when I really started making the candles and selling them. I mean, I thought about like a little bit, but I was also learning as I was going. Honey, the profit margins was just not there. The profit margins was not there. It's not there when you have people that when it's like it's one item per order, because things that like I didn't consider in the beginning but learned through the experience was I gotta buy materials. So traditionally, I come from the world of selling services, coaching, digital products, things that didn't really have like an overhead to it, but doing physical products, oh my gosh. So by the time I considered, the cost of the candle jars, the lids, the bubble wrap for the packaging, the boxes, the little frou-frou thingies that I would, put into the box to make, to make it look cute, the cost of shipping, which kept going up, by the way. The crystals that I put into the candles, the fragrance oil, the wax itself, and then shipping, even for a lot of those materials, right? There were times where my supplier for my candle jars, right? They might run out of the candle jars on in their East Coast warehouse, but they'd be like, "Oh, we have it available in our West Coast warehouse," but then that's an additional like $30 in shipping. You see how like all of this is really starting to like add up. So I was lucky to even profit like $5 a candle. So between doing all of that and making like having to get the, place the orders for all the materials, having to make the candles, and then because of how I made the candles, they did take more time because this wasn't a matter of I'm just pouring the wax and then that's it. Like how you see most candles in stores, Walmart, Target, Bath and Body Works, whatever, like I decorated the candles. And the candles had to be like 90% dry in order for me to then get the crystals in there. So like I had to set my like it took more mental energy and exertion, just all the things. And I'm like, to get $5 in profit off the candle though. I don't love it. I don't love it. I don't love it. And not only that, there were issues with being able to find certain materials. I would go to my supplier for like the specific crystals. Sometimes they were sold out, and I didn't know when they were going to have more in stock. Sometimes the candle jars were sold out, and I didn't know when they were going to have more in stock. Like it was just like, oh my gosh. And I'm doing this all like alone. And I'm not here to say that like it couldn't be done, or that no one else can make it happen doing something like this alone. But for me, on top of what I already said about my health issues, it was just like, honey, I don't know. I don't know. The interesting thing about this though is that this is like a two-part caveat in a way, because when it comes to hormonal imbalances, which is what I was obviously dealing with, which can lead to things like PCOS, endometriosis, like painful periods, all the things, and part of that imbalancing process can be too much cortisol. And we create too much cortisol through stress. Okay? You following me here? Okay. So now I also have this business that is stressing me the fuck out. Okay? So do you see where we're going here? So it was creating this ecosystem of bullshit in my life and with my body and my health. And I needed to reset. I realized that if I did not slow down and really start to prioritize my body, prioritize myself, prioritize my health, like, I think it was going to be very, very, very detrimental. I honestly think that I would have ended up in the hospital. For me, no business is worth that. I needed peace, purpose, flow. I needed to let it all go. And so here are three logistical things that I wish someone would have told me before I dove into all of this. And I'm going to share those with you now. Number one, check the logistics. Even if it's just like a sampling, check the logistics, do the research, figure out what you are going to need. Go do the research for the suppliers. Go figure out how much it's going to cost. I don't care if you want to go put all that in a spreadsheet, let it calculate it for you, whatever the case may be. I'm sure you can find a spreadsheet or calculator online or something that's going to let you know, okay, based off of this, you are looking at, your product costing this much per unit. If you sell it at this price with, the average shipping cost being this, and this is the profit that you're looking at. I wish I would have known this at the very, very, very beginning. Number two, I think, is a little more unconventional advice that you don't typically hear, especially in the day and age of selling via social media. But go local if you can. Go local if you can. It will actually save you money. Like, if I would have connected maybe with some of the mystical shops in my area, if they were the ones placing bulk orders, it would have been as easy as me putting them in a box and driving them over there, dropping them up. So wouldn't have to worry about things like um, candles breaking during shipping, which can happen, and you may have experienced that. You've gotten something in the mail and it may arrive broken. Where, I was dealing with candles, and I would do my best to um, package them well. But at the same time, I can't help it if the UPS, the FedEx people are throwing boxes, okay? Because the tea started getting spilled during the pandemic about how packages were being handled by postal workers. And I even have an old childhood friend who, worked at the post office, and she let me know what was tea behind the scenes, which is unfortunate that, there are people who are responsible for making sure that our products get to our consumers safe and sound, and they just really don't give a damn because they're going to get their check either way. But also, again, going local, it can be beneficial. It can save you money. You can just, take the product there. They can place the order. You can take it to them. You don't have to use as much material. You're not worried about, like, them placing just a single product order, because you're not going to get as much in your profit margins for that. So that might be something to consider. If you can, if you have a product-based business, see if there are any shops within your city or surrounding cities that um, sell similar items, or, that are relatable to the product that you sell, and see if you can get your product in their stores. The third one is listen to your body. Listen to your body. No business is really worth sacrificing your health and your joy. You can't convince me. You can't convince me. And having the experience that I had, you can't convince me. Absolutely not. But what this does also open the door to is the conversation around how you can position yourself to make sure that the business that you want to do isn't affecting your health and your joy. And so, what that could mean is if you have maybe a business that feels sometimes high stress, are you doing things to regulate your nervous system? Breath work, meditation, hypnosis, hell, screaming into a pillow. There are various modalities and various things that you can do to help regulate yourself, help regulate your nervous system, help to keep the stress down, helping to release the stress from your body, right? Which are all the things that I actually do with clients. Emotional freedom techniques, hypnotherapy, hypnotic breath, right? And these are things that you can actually experience inside of the Brain Magic Mastery app. So if you want access to that, just comment app below. And if you want to go much deeper, into the various things like the confidence to sell, stepping into your leadership, and various things like that, comment membership below. I'll send you the details about our membership. But nonetheless, there is a woman who wrote a book called Ready for the Yes. And I think that it's really important for us to take moments where we are putting ourselves in positions to be ready for the yes. If we want that high volume business, if we want that successful business, what are we doing to put ourselves in position uh, to to welcome the success, and it not be something that we end up wavering on uh, because we were ill prepared. Are you doing the research and planning for potentially hiring help in your business, whether that's in person, somebody to come help you, with creating the products itself, maybe someone who can come in and help with like packaging, and then they can come pick up the stuff. I believe UPS, and I might be wrong, but one of these companies, UPS or USPS, I believe you can even schedule pickup for packages. So that could be an option, right? Which also helps to save you time, which you need. You're running this business, you're running this company, right? You're making the products, all of the things. Every little minute that you can save helps. Do you need a virtual assistant? Do you need someone who's gonna, maybe go and place the orders for your materials, like whatever it is, and take moments every week, like at the end of every week, and evaluate like what worked, what didn't work, like where do I feel like I'm starting to need help and support? Like, don't wait for it to get really, 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 really bad. I feel like that part of that is where I was at. Now, my husband was instrumentally helpful in helping with the packaging. To be honest, I hated the packaging process. I hated having to package. I liked the creative process of making the product, making the candles, like that process lit me up. But when it came time to put them in the boxes, honey, no. But my husband would help when he could, and I am so grateful for that. Um, but perhaps if I would have had maybe in-person help in other ways, I maybe would have been able to keep going with selling the candles, maybe even marketing, stuff like that, while I also was able to focus on my health and just getting better. But if I'm being 120% radically honest with y'all, I think even like I love making the candles, and I'm actively finding ways to integrate that with my coaching business, because people really, really, really love them. And they use my candles to like manifest like magic and miracles in their life. And the $5 profit margins still just don't sit well with Quiana. When I know that I can go out here and have done this and have been able to sell, my coaching for 4 figures, when I've been able to sell my courses and stuff, and it didn't require me to have to make anything by hand, um, you know,